Hello and welcome to another in my series In Conversation With. So, for the first time, I have a guest returning who I first interviewed quite a while ago. I think it must be close to 2 years by now. So, I'm delighted to have back with me the author of this book, Girl in the Tunnel. It's Maureen Sullivan. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. I'm delighted to have you back again. The last time we talked about your book and the circumstances around you you writing that and your own personal journey. But I know you've been very much involved in the whole survivors sort of campaign, and also you've been involved in the all these lost babies, the Tuam, and there's actually, from what I hear, possibly 20 other locations around Ireland which could have similar kind of grave sites, unmarked graves of young children. So that's obviously a big concern to people in Ireland and beyond too. And what has happened with the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland has also been happening in many other countries, it turns out, all across the globe. So, this is perhaps like the big flashpoint for the Catholic Church, but it's sort of the tip of the iceberg when you think about the rest of the world. But what's coming out here probably will come out in other countries too in the future. But
yes,
I've been very involved in sort of progressing this and fighting for this all to come out. So I wondered, people may not know, but you've been involved in trying to get this all to happen. And was it about 2 weeks ago now that they started to exhume the bodies?
No, it's about 3 weeks ago I think it started. But I didn't do much campaign. I only helped, to be honest, of getting out there through Facebook and that. It was Kathleen Corliss, amazing woman, done fantastic work in her kitchen in Tuam in Galway, and worked day and night at it. And she was so passionate because she just copped on that there was something not right, not adding up, and she kept with it. And I don't think she was treated very good in the beginning, but she didn't care. It was her passion, and she knew there was something not adding up and something was very wrong. And she was right. And then the two, they're grown men now, but way back there was two boys playing some years back, and they were kicking a skull around. And of course they didn't realise what it was, and they brought it home, and I put it up on the table, thought it was some sort of a football, but the mother recognised what it was. So I think Kathleen got very suspicious about that as well. But her work has been tremendous. She's a powerful woman, and we have a lot in Ireland to thank her for, because really she's given those souls. She's shone the light on them. They're dead. We don't know how some of them died. We don't know what had happened to some of them. We do know that some of them was died from starvation. Some of them died from certain amount of diseases, and to be put in, let's put it up straight, there's no other words for it, in a shit pit, is disgusting. It's appalling. Yeah, it's just appalling to put them little infants in there, little souls in there. And
Maureen, do you mind me asking, going back to that story about the skull, how long ago was that actually happened, do you think?
I'm not sure, I forget now, but I'll have to look it back up, but you can get it up.
Would that be like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, roughly? Just a ballpark.
I'd say it might have been 20, because they're grown men now.
20 years, so it's taken all that time to actually get something.
Oh yeah, well, Kathleen Corliss is fighting this a long, long time. For years she's fighting it, and she got all the proof, and she's always been turned down at every stage she went, but fair play to her. She's an amazing woman. The great work is done. And I mean, the thing that is very important to me anyway, and to lots of other people, I would think, that those little children have got a voice at long last. You know, they had nobody to speak up for them, and it's just appalling. Honestly, you want to get physically sick when you think about it. That that holy nuns that believes in God and preaching about God and their prayers and their rosaries. It really wants to make you. I do want to get physically sick.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how they could hold their heads up after that.
Oh,
am I right in thinking it's around 800 children they think were put into the septic tank?
Yes, yeah, 799, I think, birth certs that they have for it.
Oh, wow. That's
a
huge number. That's crazy.
It is. More, the Ross Gray, everybody kind of forgets about Ross Gray. Ross Gray, Shaw Ross Abbey, I was down there a few weeks ago, and the mother and baby home is a refuge for people coming into this country now. And it's you go down there in the little graveyard, and there's suspicions of a lot of things not adding up there too. And there's Michael Donovan, a lovely man, and he's very passionate and keeps it up and tries so hard. And so many people have done great work down there. Anne O'Connor is doing great work at the moment. Michael is doing great work. And Teresa Collins, I had to pull back a little bit, but she's always there to help, and she's done fantastic work. But they're finding it difficult for the government to listen to them. They want more work done down there. They want answers.
So how many at Ross Cray do they think?
Well, they're not quite sure. You see, we're not quite sure yet.
Could it be hundreds again, do you think?
Yeah, I would. Oh, yes, I would think so.
I heard rumours that there's one place that's like in a field beyond, not right on the premises, but one place where there's possibly over 1,000 children buried in sort of a field. Do you know anything about that?
Where do you know whereabouts?
I'm not sure which the locations it was, but I had heard that there's you've got like the main.
It could be Castle Pollard. Castle Pollard is another place where there's children buried as well.
Yeah.
Now we never hear too much about it. I don't know if people have given up on it, but I doubt it. There was some people doing great work there, so I hope that they continue.
Well, they're obviously making it as difficult as possible, trying to conceal the truth. And I mean, I can see this has been a problem for a very long time. I don't know if you remember, there was a guy called Noel Brown who was a government minister back in the 50s.
Yes, I read his book, actually. I didn't get to read, but I read quite a bit of it. Amazing man.
Yeah, well, he tried his best. He tried to get all this done to stop the explosives, but he was stonewalled mostly by Archbishop John Charles McQuaid and the church, basically. I think he was actually forced to resign from his job, in fact, in sort of some kind of disgrace. But really, I think the main reason he was got rid of was because he was trying to shut all this down. Yes,
that's right. He was a great man. I think, did he get, no, I don't think he got the children's allowance. I'm not sure. But I think he got the widow's pension. He fought for the widow's pension for women as well. He was a fantastic man. And I mean, of all the things that's happened, I know the industrial schools was bad, the Magdalen laundries, but the mother and baby home and the stories that you hear is just horrendous. Children,
terrific.
Mothers getting up and going to their cots in the morning looking for the children, and they're gone without their permission, without even being asked. It's just horrendous. I know my father was born in a mother and baby home, and but my granny brought him home.
He was lucky. He was lucky that he wasn't sold to
Yeah,
a foreign country. Because I mean,
yeah, two
people don't
sisters.
realize about the
Yeah.
huge money racket of basically either selling people as to be adopted or
Hmm.
selling people even as young children to become like household slaves, really, to go
Yeah,
you know
that's right.
be a cleaner or whatever in some
Yeah,
place. And the church obviously making a vast fortune off of these
of
children.
course.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's not only illegal, but you would think that,
yeah,
an organization that's supposed to be the earthly representative of Jesus would, the fact that they would participate in such a thing, it's
yeah.
just it, it's beyond contradictory. It's just mind blowing, really, isn't it, to think that could
It
happen?
is. It is. Yeah, my two aunts was fostered out
Mm,
because my granny wasn't allowed to keep them, and one of my aunts had a daughter in St. Pat's, and she was sold out to America.
mm,
And I mean, she's a broken woman. I was just talking to her the other night, and she's so upset. There was so much taken from her in life. Her mother was taken from her country where she belonged, her nationality. Everything was taken from that woman. And, out to America as a 2-year-old little girl
mm,
on a plane and just handed it over to strangers, hoping that they might be kind and good to her. A lot of the adopted parents in America wasn't allowed to adopt legally there because a lot of them had health issues and mental problems. So the church got them uh, got them children because they weren't allowed to adopt out there by the laws out there.
mm. And they concealed the identity, the true identity of many of these children, so that
Yeah,
later on, I mean, you did get some honest, obviously, people who adopted children who would tell their children, you came from Ireland, you were adopted. But then they
yeah,
couldn't find what their true name was or who their real parents were. So an
yeah.
impossible task of trying to find out who am I and who are my parents. I
Hmm.
mean, imagine the ordeal that must be for someone to grow up bad enough to find out that you are adopted, but then to be not even know what your real own name is,
Well,
and
yeah, that's
being given
that's
a new name
or
by your, you know, parents,
yeah,
or you just made up a name and told the nuns or whatever to say, "Oh, this is Sarah," and her real name could have been like Mary. You
yeah,
wouldn't know. They just gave them a name,
yeah.
and
Well, there's a story of a lady I know, and she had a child for a farmer,
mm,
and it was rape. And when she wanted to state who the father was on the baptism certificate or whatever certificate, birth cert, she was told no, that you can't name him because he was a farmer. You can't put his name down. And she kind of had a few words with the nuns, and they said, "No, you tell the truth. You're
mm.
lying. You don't know who the father is."
Yeah, it's
And I mean,
horrific. There's all this
yeah,
sort of victim blaming going on where, like,
yeah,
like in, for instance, your own case. I mean, when people have been abused or they've been raped, instead of
hmm,
punishing the perpetrator, it seems to me that the Catholic
yeah,
Church punished the victims instead. You know,
that's right. Yeah,
but
they
this
have
poor
a,
woman, she wanted to put the truth on her the birth
mhm,
certificate for her
yeah,
child, and she wasn't even allowed to do that. And you were, carted off instead of punishing your your stepfather. You got punished, and he was let
yeah,
off completely free. I
yeah,
mean, it's just beyond belief. And what also just I find incredible is the way that the church can literally. You were unfortunately a slave, weren't you? Because you didn't
yeah.
get paid. You were
No,
a
no,
child slave, literally a child slave, because you were underage to start with, and you had another 8 years, I think, would it be till you've been 18? I found adult. I suppose they changed it from 21 to 18 at some point, but So I suppose by the time you were 18, you were then literally an adult, but you had 6 years as a child slave.
5 years. I was only
Right.
there for five
Okay.
years.
But even that is horrendous. And I
Yeah,
mean,
horrendous.
all
For
that
some,
money they made from you, I mean,
yeah,
you should have got paid. You shouldn't have been there in the first place, but you should have been paid, and you should really be compensated for all the pain and suffering and the not being paid either all those years. I mean,
yeah.
I imagine the church hasn't given you 1 cent for what happened to you, have they?
No, the church didn't put any money into the pot, as the government calls it. It was the government, the taxpayers, that paid out.
So basically, taxpayers, instead
Yeah,
of the church, you've been compensated not by the church, but
by
by the Irish taxpayers.
taxpayers. Yeah,
I mean,
it
that's
was.
totally wrong. The church is sitting on a vast fortune. I mean, the Vatican is one of the richest organizations in the world. I mean, even now in Ireland, the vast amounts of property that the Catholic Church owns,
That's right.
they could
Yeah,
easily have paid the compensation to you. But I assume they must have just refused to do so, and then the government, out of embarrassment, probably has stepped in and used taxpayers' money instead.
yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
even that's a horrific. That's effectively stealing twice over, because once they stole your time, your life, and didn't pay you, and then they've stolen from the public a second time by not paying the compensation.
yeah.
And so
Horrendous.
they compounded one sin with another.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's
Hard,
unbelievable.
people would find it hard to believe that they got away with this. But I mean, it's just crazy that an organisation can get away with all this and telling lies and
Mm,
doing away with people's birth certs, giving them different names,
mm,
changing their names. It's just horrible
yeah.
to think that they can get away with this. It's supposed to be against the law.
Yeah. Well, I think they don't actually care, because I was reading only in the last week the news about the Vatican money laundering. There was one of their top financial policemen actually in the city, in the Vatican. He was ousted in 2017. It looks like he said that they've been falsifying payroll and account numbers and transactions. Um, because all this is supposed to be finished with, all this money laundering for criminals and whatever. Um, but it turns out they're still doing it even right now to this day. And I'd imagine the new Pope, he probably knows about this, and the previous Pope certainly did, and the one before that.
Hmm.
So instead of actually stopping with this embezzlement, there was a cardinal, Cardinal Beccu, I think, I'm not sure if I said it right. He was convicted in 2023, but it turns out that they're still doing it right now, and all they did was try to conceal it by changing names and changing account numbers and things like that. So they haven't stopped their criminal activity. They just tried to bury it, and so that's all just come out in the last couple of weeks. This scandal again. So
Yeah,
that doesn't really surprise me, because it just seems every time they get caught doing something, their first reaction is to try and hide it, try and suppress it, try to silence people like you, for instance, and the various friends and colleagues you have in the survivor movement.
mm,
They try to shut you up rather than admitting their guilt and that they've done something terrible. It seems like
yeah,
their first reaction is to attempt to silence you, to shut you up.
yeah. Well, yeah, and now with I think the mother and baby home is so shocking that what's happening there. I mean, there's adults out in the world now here in Ireland, and the name that they've always been going by is not their name at all.
Mm,
Um, I know one man. He won his big court case. He was here from Carlow, and he had two birth certs.
no.
Yeah, I mean that was horrible. And his poor mum came over from England on several occasions to look for him. She wrote letters. she tried to find him. And I mean, look at it, Philomena, the film Philomena.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a great film. Yeah.
And her son is buried down in Rossgrey, and he has this small little piece of a grave, and his ashes is in it, and he paid 20,000 for it.
God.
I mean, it's horrible. The stories to this mother.
It's unbelievable, really. I mean, I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's shocking now. It really is.
Yeah.
And there's another lady. I was just watching her interview there this evening earlier on, and she was in England, and they brought her home. In a way, they kidnapped her, really, and brought her home, and in a flight and everything. A black van took her to the airport in England, and she was landed, I think, in Cork, and then she came up to Dublin, and they took her son. And it's just horrendous that they can do things like this and to human beings and not have to answer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it seems to be mostly women and children that suffer the most. I mean, you know people, this horrific operation called Symphysiotomy, when a lot of women had trouble with childbirth, they broke their hips, they smashed their hips on both sides in some cases.
That is horrendous.
You must probably know people that's happened to.
I know 3 women. I know one woman is living out in Malta. And at the moment, she's having a big problem because she won her compensation and everything, but the solicitor has gone missing. She can't get an answer from the solicitor. And now she has to go through the Law Society and report it. And she's quite elderly, and she's just not able for all this.
Yeah, and so many of these cases, they're church-run hospitals, right?
Yeah.
So, in theory, the church could just directly pay compensation to these people who are that were in the hospital or through a parish priest or whatever. But of course, it never happens that way. In fact, they're very lucky if they get any compensation. Really, it seems to be. It takes years and years and years for these poor women, some of them who can't even walk properly. As a result of these horrific operations, which instead of giving them a sort of cesarean or sort of assisted, birth in some way, they just made it easier for themselves and just ruined their health forevermore.
Yeah, and this poor woman suffers a lot. She's gone through a lot of pain, and for her to ring from Malta is very, very difficult. And then she doesn't get answers, and then she's left hanging on, and music playing. And I mean, I'm trying to help her and get other people to help her at the moment, see if we can do something for her. Because, it's not right, an elderly woman like that, and to treat her in this manner. And the solicitor's not even answering it. There's no answer on the phone. That's just how you don't do that to people. That's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, things have changed a little bit, but it's still so many things that are hanging on from years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, you may know. I mean, they've legalized abortion in this country, but there was a friend of mine who was in Wexford, and she unfortunately became pregnant when she had terminal cancer, and she already had a child, and the doctor said to her, well, being pregnant is going to shorten your life because I'm afraid you're going to die anyway. So she asked if they would give her a medical abortion on the grounds that she was going to die, and they refused. And they said, how much difference will this make? And it says possibly up to a year longer that you may live, as if you can get a termination. And she was refused. She did, that on the grounds that it would, save her life at least for a while.
Yeah, and give her time with her child.
Yeah, she was forced to go to the UK, and and she did get it, but then she of course she died anyway, the poor woman. And then, I mean, you've probably heard of the various cases of women that have been allowed to die, and
Yeah,
they, when they even possibly had a deceased baby inside them, and they still wouldn't perform
Mm-hmm.
an abortion for them. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously that's now changed, but I mean the amount of pressure that was necessary, and these poor women, I wonder if any of them were even ever compensated for the loss of their children, or the families who lost a mother, a wife, a sister, or down to basically church policy being kind of enforced in hospitals, because it's all down to religious dogma, really. They knew full well in many cases that the women were going to die if they didn't get a termination, but they just still refused anyway.
Yeah. It's horrendous. It's very evil stuff. I mean, our history is not really a lot to be proud of.
Mm,
When we think about it, it's just shocking. And I mean, this was covered up for so many years.
mm,
People just accepted it, and and then what went on in the boys' school is just horrific. What went on in the industrial schools, all the young boys that suffered so much,
mm,
and you'd hear a lot of their stories. They're old men now,
mm.
and they'd be telling their story, and the tears would be falling down their face still after all these years. It's just
Horrendous.
it's
Shocking. But the good
yeah,
news is times have changed in that, I mean, truth is actually becoming more important, and people actually are longing for truth. They want this horrible dirt is being brought out into the light. So at least, although it's late, it's better late than never. That at least now, finally, after all these decades, that when people do say this happened to me, I was abused, I was I was raped, I was forced to work, whatever, I was abused, I was beaten within an inch of my life. Actually, people are listening now, and the truth
yeah,
is finally coming out. And I think, they are going to be forced to account for themselves, because I think nobody believes that anymore when they say, "Oh, that's all rubbish," or uh, little Johnny, or is a liar, or
mm-hmm.
Fiona is a liar, and they just made it up. No one believes that anymore. I think it's been so much that when these accusations against the church are made, people really do take them seriously now, and I think I think that those days are over when people would just tell you to shut up, which is only can only be a good thing. It's about time that something was actually really done about um, reforming the entire church, because I can't see much of a future for the Catholic Church if they're not prepared to actually take a sort of complete reform of everything they do and the way they go about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think another thing, you brought up a very good point there about children not being believed and being called a liar, and but that still does go on.
Mm,
I hear that every day about children telling lies. Who in their right mind would want to lie about sexual abuse? Because the majority of children don't talk about it. It doesn't. You don't speak about it till you're a lot older. That really affects you. It comes back on you,
mm,
and it affects you later on in life. I mean, this has been proven now. Some went to their graves and never spoke about it. You will hear people being, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do
mm,
is talk about child sexual abuse, because people don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. And it all depends on who it is. Strangely enough, if it was the guy down the road, that had a limp and couldn't speak properly, and he was accused. They kind of believed that. But a man of the cloth, a priest or a nun or anything like that, they find it hard to accept and to believe it. Like decent people in homes, and like my stepfather, he took on my mother with 3 children. He was a decent man. It was kind of him to do that. There's all these cover-ups and all these understanding about these people that abuse children. But yet there's very little understanding.
He wasn't so decent after all, was he, really? And I think a lot of these people, they have a veneer of sort of respectability, don't they?
Yeah.
But beneath it, there's all these hidden horrible things. So I was going to say, what advice would you have to, like, say, a young person today who was being, like, abused by a priest or by a member of the family or a neighbor? What would you suggest that they should do? Is there somewhere where can they go to tell their story where they'll be listened to?
I would say to them, it is difficult. I'm not going to lie, because if you lie to people and they get hurt, well, then they kind of say, well, that woman, why did she lie to me? It's a very, very difficult situation. It's very hard to the people you least expect will call you a liar. You'd be shocked. I've had a few shocks, but I hold my head up and I'm stronger and I'm better than that. So I'm not going to let these people take me down. I think it's very important that you speak out, because that's how you'll make change. If you don't speak out about it, it's going to be covered up and it's going to continue and continue.
So where should they go? To the Gardaí or to Tusla, or what would you say? What's the best place
I think the Gardaí is good to go to now. Maybe back in the past they wouldn't, but I think now they would.
Anyway, we're beginning to run out of time, but I want to just remind people about your book, because you have it here. So I have a copy here. Thank you very much. And where can people buy your book if they want a copy?
Get it on Amazon, and most of the shops will either have it or they will order it for you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful book. I mean, it's a harrowing story, but it's great that that's out in the world and people get to hear what happened to you,
Yeah, it's getting great feedback and it's very well written. I have to say, the lady that wrote it, and it took us quite a long time to write it, because, it was going on for years, because we had to prove 100% everything in it was correct.
Well, that's fantastic, and I'm afraid we're out of time now, but thank you so much for coming back and being here a second time. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you.
Thanks a million.